You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 14 of To the Show We Go. And this time it's Chris Henrique in place of Ed Han and myself, Andrew Parker. If you didn't check out episode 13, it's one of my favorite redheads in the organization, not being biased or anything, but Hunter Dobbins. He came back from Tommy John this past year. He started off in Greenville, dominated in Greenville, got called up to Portland, finished the year there. He's looking like a candidate to be in Worcester next year. So if you have not checked that out, he is a strong opinioned Texan on his brisket and anything fast food down in Texas. So you definitely want to go see what he said. But today we have our third member of the 2023 draft class to join us this offseason, Nazzan Zanetello. Now, Nazzan, I want to just kind of talk to you a little bit. Like, how was your 2023 year if you had to describe it?
It was fun. It was definitely different than a lot of the baseball I've played in the past. And it was definitely something to remember forever. Coming into this year, my mom always told me to keep a journal, just to, like, write down things of what will happen so I don't have to kind of remember what happened. I can just kind of just write about it whenever I get home. And I started doing that a lot, and that helped out. Just the constant travel, like even before the draft, I went to Combine, back to St. Louis, to Seattle. Then I went to Boston for like all the signing stuff there. So I was definitely coast to coast a lot. Then finally getting down to Fort Myers, settling down, played an FCL season down here, which was a lot faster pace than I've ever played coming from high school. After the FCO season, I got promoted to Salem, played for the Salem Red Sox, and that was a lot different than the FCL. In the FCL, all the games were at noon. Got here in the morning, you're done by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Down in Salem, you get to the field around noon or 1. The game's not till 7 every night, so you kind of got to figure out your routine and stick with that.
And I wanted to, you mentioned the draft a little bit. Before you hopped on, I was just rewatching just you being selected in the draft. You were obviously there. You were surrounded by, I'm assuming, your family and your agent, and just what was it like, I guess, on just hearing your name and having the Red Sox take you with the second round pick?
Yeah, I mean, being in the green room was definitely an experience to never forget. It was definitely fun, nerve-wracking, of course. I was super anxious in there. I kind of planned to wear all black because I knew I would have sweaty armpits walking out. So I wore the all black fit. But yeah, I love the setup this year because I know last year they had the guys kind of like in the crowd. But this year we were back in the green room and we were able to walk through the green room to get on the stage rather than walk up onto the stage. After I got my name called, it was kind of just like a huge sigh of relief. Definitely happy with the pick, happy with where I went, happy with where I ended up with Boston. Great coaching staff, great development program. Then walking off the stage is kind of when everything shuttered back down and it was all back in my face again. Walking off the stage, there were cameras everywhere, people asking me to sign this, sign that. My agent couldn't find my family, couldn't find this person, that person. I had to follow the tour guide out to like the red carpet so I could take pictures and everything with the background. Couldn't find that person, so definitely had to take a deep breath and find myself again.
That was that the draft was in Seattle, right?
Correct.
And so what was that your first time being in the West Coast or Seattle?
First time being in Seattle, yeah. We went down to the Pike Market and everything. So all that was fun. I was able to go to the Home Run Derby, the All-Star game, Futures game. Got to experience everything. So it was definitely a time to remember.
And you kind of brought up something that I thought was a little interesting on the FCL compared to Salem. Do you think now that you've had the chance to experience it, like so you got hurt before the season ended down in Salem, but
Correct.
Getting the chance to kind of just see the difference and just like, okay, like this is affiliate ball. This is what it's like. Do you think that's going to help you as you go into your first full season next year?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the experience of being able to go to Salem. Even though I wasn't able to play much, I played my first game, but after that, kind of cut it short. But that was definitely helpful to be there and experience, be around those guys, be around that coaching staff, that training staff, everything. Just get a feel for it. That would definitely help going into next year.
And
Yeah, I just I want to circle back real quick because you had mentioned something that caught my ear about kind of like journaling, your experience, from being drafted, the time out in Seattle. Have you gotten to like take a step back and just kind of let the last, say, 6 months of your life kind of like soak in yet?
Yeah, I had to, honestly. Because being in Salem, there was a lot of downtime in Salem. So it's like looking back on it, just being where I am and constantly doing it every day, it can be easy to get caught up in this is just my life, it's what I do. But in hindsight, there aren't a lot of 18-year-olds doing what myself's doing, what a lot of my teammates are doing, what a lot of the guys in the draft class are doing. So it's definitely humbling looking back on it and kind of just taking a step in my own shoes to say, honestly, because I don't feel like I do that enough. Like I said, it's easy to get caught up in just, this is my life, it's what I do, it's who I am. But there aren't a lot of teenagers my age doing what I do. So it is definitely a great thing to have and be able to do.
was that something that after you got drafted and I don't think people fully understood the fact that you and even Antonio Anderson were both only 18 years old.
Yeah.
Because, you look at the first round pick and Kyle Teel is obviously like a polished college catcher and he's already 22, 21. So he's, he's obviously in Portland right now, but I don't think people fully understood that, like, you don't turn 19, I think, until next summer. Yeah. So I don't think people, was that something that when you, I guess, got to the FCL and even with some of your draft class being like, these guys are a few years older than me, is that something that you kind of had in the back of your mind?
It definitely was, but I don't think I took it as an excuse, quote unquote, to like not do as good as these guys, not do as good as this person, that person, because I feel like I'm still there for a reason. I got picked where I picked for a reason. They're still investing in me for a reason because I have the talent and the work ethic to get to Boston. So I feel like going in, it was definitely different because I was going to be around a lot of older guys. Like I knew I was going to be one of the youngest guys in the locker room, along with Antonio. And I found myself, not gonna lie, I found myself comparing myself to other people in the locker room, like doing dumb drills like smash ball, exit velos, like, oh, I hit a ball 105 and such a hit a ball like 110. It's like I can do that. I feel like I can do that. Why aren't I doing that? And then I look back and like that guy is 22, 23 years old. Like where will I be in 4 or 5 years? Like what will I be doing in 4 to 5 years? So it's definitely always a thought. It's always in the back of my head, but it's not my focus.
And so what was it like, I guess, just with the draft class? Like, what was your thoughts on being around the guys? Everybody was super talented in that draft class. And so what was your experiences like, I guess, being there with Teal and Christian Campbell and even Antonio Anderson and just all those guys?
Yeah, so crazy story. Whenever I was in Seattle, I got back to the hotel draft night, and right when I got to the hotel, like I just took the Boston jersey off on the bed, kind of just laid down and tried to process what all just happened. As soon as I did that, Antonio calls me. He's like, "Yo, like agent just said I might get picked tomorrow by the Red Sox at 89." I'm like, "Damn, like let's do it. Like let me know." And the next day, we're doing like all our press coverage stuff on the field at Safeco, and we're watching like the live draft feed. And it's like, picks coming up. I'm like, all right, I'm next to Jacob Wilson. I'm like, it's going to be Antonio Anderson, 89. She's like, how do you know that? I'm like, just watch it. And 89 was Antonio Anderson. So that was definitely good to know because he's a guy I've been around for a few years now, playing on USA Prime with him, doing all the MLB developed stuff like Dream Series, Breakthrough Series. So being around him for a long time. And then just meeting new people this year with the draft class, like Nelson Taylor, Stanley Tucker, Christian Campbell, even he was a new one. Like I knew he went to Georgia Tech, but I've never met him or talked to him ever. So he was a new guy to meet. And then Kyle Teel went from watching him in the College World Series to being a couple lockers down from him. So that was also pretty cool. There are the guys like Trenner and Zach O'Donnell, or Zach Fogel and Trenner O'Donnell, sorry about that. Connolly Early, there are a lot of pitchers in the class that I really got along with. Hayden Mullins, even he went to Auburn. I know he was last year, but just meeting all the new guys and even some of the Latin guys. Like, I know they weren't draft guys, but they were signees from the Dominican Academy, and I think everybody got along really well.
How hard was it to how hard was it to say no to Arkansas?
It was very hard. But I feel like just weighing the pros and cons with my family and my advisor, I mean, Boston outweighed Arkansas, just in every aspect. And just from the opportunity standpoint, the life standpoint, the relationship standpoint, the lesson standpoint. I mean, it was honestly just here and here. Like they were neck and neck, but Boston outweighed it.
I wouldn't be a real St. Louisian if I didn't at least ask if Mizzou was even in consideration
for the college football playoff. Or for college.
Yeah,
I mean, it was earlier on. Now I feel like if I were in high school now, it would definitely be a higher consideration. Now that Carrick Jackson's there, Carrick's a family friend of a friend, so I got pretty close with him. And actually, when I was doing my recruiting process last fall, it came between Arkansas and Memphis because Carrick Jackson was at Memphis. So not a lot of people know that, but Carrick Jackson is a great dude to be around. He has a lot of pull, a lot of connections, and he's just a genuine dude all around. Like I still talk to him to this day.
Yeah, I don't know if how familiar you are with Tanner Houck, but he's obviously he's from Collinsville in St. Louis, but he was a Mizzou great, in my opinion. And then he's now with Boston. So I had asked him early this year when he was rehabbing in Worcester. I had asked him, I said, what do you have on Carrick Jackson? Like, I don't really know anything about him. And he was just like, he was like one of the main reasons I went to Mizzou. And so I think the baseball program is in great hands with him, and that's actually great to hear from you as well.
His resume is unreal.
Yeah, I'm all in, and it's I just had to ask the question because I know with the football team and like Luther Burden going there, and a lot of the guys from St. Louis now starting to head to the zoo. I'm like, man, it's nice getting a lot of these STL kids over to Mizzou. There's a ton of talent in STL.
There is.
Chris, what do you got for me?
I was going to ask, obviously, picked by the Sox. What was that process like for you, though, prior to the draft, having, one of the, top premier franchise like the Red Sox pursue you? What's that process like for the teenager? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, being a 17-year-old, newly turned 18-year-old, the process was a little stressful at first, I feel like. You have this scout at practice, this scout at the game, this scout wants an in-home meeting this night, and so on and so forth, and it just never ends, But I feel like I have the strongest relationship with the Red Sox and Alonzo Wright. I talk to him almost daily during the process, and he made it very easy for me to get comfortable with him. And then when I went to the Red Sox workout down in Weatherford, Texas, Chris Dacio and Paul Taboni were there, and they liked what they saw. So from there, it was just kind of just Red Sox,
So now that you've gotten some time in the system, your infielder, shortstop I'm not sure. Are you familiar with the Sox prospects page, the website?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
All right. So they have you also listed as like an outfielder. What would be, obviously, I know any player, if they get to the show, they'll play wherever, but where do you foresee yourself developing with the Red Sox? Are you going to be more in the infield, more outfield? Is it going to be more, get that versatility under your belt?
Yeah, so whenever I first got drafted, there were talks with Devin Pearson about splitting time at shortstop and time in center. So whenever I got down to the FCL, I was kind of expecting a split time. But I've yet to play outfield. I've yet to train with the outfielders. So I feel like I'll stay an infielder and develop as an infielder for the Red Sox.
Have you gotten to play anything outside of shortstop, though? Like as you were growing up, would be like transition to second base. Would that be just easy, seamless for you? Or you like prefer, hey, I want to be a shortstop? Not saying it like, I guess selfishly, but I mean, like,
Yeah,
would you be able to transition seamlessly to second?
Oh, yeah. So growing up, I didn't play shortstop until I was 13. I always played third base. I've never played second. And then had a switch when I was 13, 14, kind of started playing shortstop then, and it kind of just came natural because I was always an athlete, more athletic, longer limbed, so it kind of just helped out with like the range and mobility standpoint, and then kind of just getting familiar with that position, that angle, making those throws, making those plays. I got better as I got older, and then last fall with Team USA, I played third base and center field on a stacked team, so that was kind of the other primary or the other secondary positions. I've never played second, so I feel like if I were to make a switch, it'd kind of be back to third or in center field.
I'm gonna just be very random here, and it's very off topic of what we were just talking about. But I want to know. I guess we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. But what was it like playing at CBC? You got to take it as a lot of people in New England and Boston like have never even heard of CBC. So like, what was it like playing there? Like for people that aren't very familiar with it.
Yeah, so for people that aren't familiar with CBC, it's almost like no bias on this, but I'd say it's almost like the IMG of the Midwest of Missouri, even because if you walk through our gym, there's no brick on the wall. There's only banner, 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 that wall, banner, banner. So there's no more space on the walls. It's an all-boy private school, Catholic school, which in the Midwest are usually known for having the better athletes. We get accused every year of recruiting new players, but that's not, you can't recruit high schoolers, like that doesn't happen. Um, but then just playing in the CBC baseball program, playing for Coach Mason Horn was definitely amazing. Playing for Coach Al Nipper, who was also a former Red Sox and scout for the Red Sox, that was amazing because he was so knowledgeable about everything. I mean, he helped out with pitching, but he knew a little bit of everything. There was always stories with him. It would be about anything. Just having growing up in that pipeline, I was really very, very close with Christian Little. He went to CBC, he went to Vanderbilt, now he's at LSU. He's kind of the reason I went there because I was training with Nathan Yamnitz and Christian went there. I had a friend named Nick Moden who went there, and they kind of just built me up to where I am now. So I just growing up, following those guys' footsteps, taking me to where I am. And they kind of led me to go to CBC, and then my freshman year was COVID, so that kind of sucked. I didn't get a freshman year, but I was expected to start on JV, and then we had a Las Vegas trip to go to Bishop Gorman to play a tournament there. And I was told that after that tournament, I'd be on the varsity roster, so I had a chance to play 4 years on varsity at CBC, which was also a very good opportunity as a 14, 15-year-old because, like I said, that was the IMG of the Midwest. So playing for CBC has definitely helped me to get where I am today, honestly.
Now I have, I'm going to keep it going on some very non-baseball related questions here.
Okay.
And I prepped you before we started recording. It's going to be some St. Louis. I kind of prepped it with the CBC question there. But I have some one-offs here. No wrong answers. Besides this first one, there are some wrong answers. So I want to see what your thoughts are on every single person I ask this question. It's different. So what is the favorite fast food fried chicken place?
In St. Louis or just in general?
No, just in general.
There isn't one in St. Louis, but I'm going to say Zaxby's.
Well, I don't think you understand. That's mine too. I'm a big Zaxby's guy. I have not heard that one yet from, I mean, I'm talking to guys that are Southern guys, they're Georgia guys, they're Texas guys. And I'm like, come on, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I legit bring nothing to the table with this right now because I've never even had Zaxby's. There's not even a Zaxby's in New England. It's KFC and Popeyes. Those are your choices.
Yeah, Popeyes is good, but Zaxby's it's not even like chicken wings and chicken thighs and stuff. It's just like chicken tenders, but it's amazing.
So good, man. So good. And the Zax sauce, can't beat it. It's I love Cane's. Cane's is pretty good. There's some Cane's in St. Louis now.
They're making their way up this way.
But Zaxby's is way better.
Oh, I cannot believe that. It's taken 14 episodes for me to find somebody else that has Zaxby's. And I'm telling you, we had Bradley Blaylock, a guy who's from Atlanta, and he's like, there's Zaxby's everywhere down there. And he said Chick-fil-A, which I get it. It's Georgia. So
Chick-fil-A. All right, so it's Chick-fil-A.
I agree with you, man. All right. So the second one is going to be, Not my favorite question, but it's going to be a question that people aren't going to know the answer to besides me and you. But I'm just going to ask for two of your top favorite St. Louis foods.
Yeah, probably Kobe's Japanese Steakhouse. It's like a hibachi spot. And Emo's, obviously Emo's.
So you're not a Ted Drew's guy?
I've never been to St. Drew's.
Wow, we'll cut that for sure. We're not gonna let that one air.
Yeah, no, I've never been there.
What about so I need your opinion on toasted ravs.
Toasted ravioli is amazing.
Okay.
A lot of people, it's almost surprising, just being from St. Louis, it's so surprising whenever people say they've never had toasted ravioli. It's like, how have you never had toasted ravioli?
Chris, you ever had toasted ravioli?
I haven't. No.
No, what are you doing right now?
When it comes to food, I'm not a, I don't discriminate when it comes to food. I would definitely,
Bro, next time,
but no, I've never.
Next time you go to the store, go to like the frozen food aisle and get one of the bags of frozen raviolis. Put them in the air fryer, oven, do whatever. You gotta have them. With some marinara sauce, you gotta have them.
Air fryer. There's a like a thing you find on TikTok. People are taking noodles and they throw it in the air fryer and turn into like little noodle chips. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, you can
I
make
don't know
anything.
if they'd be the same.
I don't know. Another thing that makes it's the dipping sauces that the people that are dipping that stuff into is what's making it.
You can just find some marinara. It'll be good, bro. Promise.
All right, well, I can get behind the toasted ravs. I'm not a big Emo's guy. I just the Provel cheese is too much for me. But
what is Emo's? Let me jump in because I've only been on your show twice now, 3 times. What's Emo's?
Emo's is like a pizza spot in St. Louis.
Okay.
But it's only in St. Louis. They're kind of branching out to southern Missouri. There's some in Illinois, but the heart of the heart is in St. Louis.
You have now I guess we're on pizza. Do you have like a specific style of pizza that you like? Are you like a cheese?
I like thin crust St. Louis style pizza. On my Emo's, I get either sausage and mushroom or sausage and bacon. Get some of that with the cheese bread, the toasted wraps. That's my Emo's order.
I just put on 15 pounds, but you even saying that?
You gotta get a peach vest soda whenever you get it too. Vest soda is also a St. Louis thing.
Huh?
And you might as well just throw the red hot riplets in there too, with Luther Burden on the back, or the or the Jason Tatum ruffles or whatever they are. Yeah,
they're both good.
Well,
I think Luther might have Jason B with the chips though.
I think so too.
At CBC, it was a whole thing like the Luther chips. We would have communion or like mass in school, and like people would bring bags of Luther Burden red hot riplets to school in those days, and they would do like the sign of the cross, with the chips.
That's kind of awesome. I mean, Luther Burden is insanely good. I love watching him, but I didn't know he was already a St. Louis icon. That is great.
Yeah, it used to be funny.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's not going to be out of the realm of possibility that if you ever had the chance to be one of the spokesmen for Emo's, you would say yes.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't think twice. It's a definite yes.
You might need to get your agent on that one.
Yeah.
All right, that leads me to my next one here. We kind of just talked about a few of them, but I want to know who are your top 3 favorite St. Louis athletes of all time?
All time. Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, and Jackson Holiday. He's a St. Louis guy because when Matt Holiday played with the Cardinals, he grew up in St. Louis.
And now I'm going to get even smaller with this. Top 3 of your favorite CBC athletes of all time.
You might not know this one, but Jeremiah Love. He's a freshman running back at Notre Dame this year. Last year, whenever the football team went to state, he had 5 touchdowns as a running back. And we won the game, like, I want to say, whatever we won by, he had all 5 touchdowns. So Jeremiah Love, once again, so Jeremiah Love, Caleb Love, who went to UNC. He's at Arizona now, and obviously myself.
Had to put yourself. I thought it was gonna be all baseball players. I thought I was gonna hear like Jake Berger and a few other guys.
Honorable mention: Matt Vierling, Jake Berger, and Christian Little.
Okay.
But Jeremiah Love, Caleb Love, and myself are my top three.
Yeah, and it kind of goes hand in hand. It's like I was kind of looking at it earlier, and I'm just like, oh, I knew Caleb Love went there. I knew a couple other guys, but I kind of forgot that Jake Berger went there because he didn't even get drafted out of high school, which was
he went to Missouri State, yeah.
Absolutely bizarre, man, that guy didn't get drafted out of high school. But
right.
All right, so I kind of want to. What do you got planned this offseason for you? Obviously, you're down in Fort Myers right now, but what's next for you?
I go back home to St. Louis November 18th, up until spring training. So I'll just stay at home, chill, train with Nathan Yemnitz, who I mentioned before. He'll get me right this offseason with strength, mobility, speed, everything. Go to him for everything. I'll get some infield work in with my infield coach, Adonis Smith. He was just with the Royals down in Arizona for their instructs about 2 weeks ago. And then I hit a bit with Craig Ringy also. So probably just stay home and train.
And do you have any specific goals that you're trying to hit? I know with training or anything, like, is there anything like, do you want to be a certain body weight? Like, is there anything that you have in mind going into next year? Just you want to accomplish that before spring training?
Yeah. So when I first came down for the FCL season, my first like official Red Sox weigh-in, I was 186. They put me on the weight gain and muscle mass program. So I've been up to 195. So probably I'll focus on that here, and once I go back home, I'll just continue to try to maintain that and just stay where I'm at. I feel like once I go home, I won't try to do too much without the Red Sox being there monitoring it, because I do want to stay where they put me, but I will maintain what I've done with them when I get back home.
And so, Chris, I have a last one here, but I want to pass it over to you, see if you have any final questions here.
Yeah, I wanted to I like to, when we get to the end, kind of chat with you guys on just who you are, like when you're not playing baseball, because there's more to Nazzan Zanetello than you as a baseball player. So I'll fire some random ones off to you, non-St. Louis specific, because I'm from Massachusetts and I know nothing really about that area unless Andrew brings it up. Do you have do you listen to podcasts? And if so, is there a podcast that's like your go-to, you need to listen every week?
No, I'm not really a huge podcast guy, but I hear a lot of people talking about the David Goggins podcast. So I'll probably check that one out whenever I do get into podcasts.
Is there you more like music, more movies, Netflix? Like, what's more your speed? Like, what's more of you'll find you in your downtime?
Yeah, like whenever I'm just lounging around, chilling, cleaning, maybe I'll definitely put on some music. There's no specific genre. R&B, hip hop, older R&B. I like that type of stuff. Then when it comes down to movies and shows, I like Netflix and HBO Max a lot, which is Max now because they got rid of HBO, but Max and Netflix.
A lot of good stuff just came out on Netflix that just came out this week. I think now that the strike is over with that, the writers and stuff like that, more of those shows are going to pop out. Do you have a what's your like ideal walk-up song? You're going to make your Fenway debut. What would be your ideal walk-up song?
Yeah, whenever I went to Salem, my walk-up song was "Oh You Went" by Young Thug. So definitely something slower, like a good bass line that's like audible with lyrics, like good lyrics, I don't like the faster stuff. I don't like the stuff with no beat. So definitely something like a harder bass line and some good lyrics.
I got one more. Signed your contract with the Sox. What was like the first like little thing that you kind of splurged on that you'd be willing to share?
AirPods. My first purchase was AirPods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got we went to Waterside Shops, Antonio and I, he's my roommate. We went to Waterside Shops in Naples. I got some AirPod Pro Maxes. So that was my first like big purchase with my signing bonus.
All right.
It's important, man. That's it's honestly, you can't really argue with that one. So
No.
Definitely use them all the time, I bet. So
all the time.
So I have one more, but I kind of wanted to squeeze this one in because how is life living in a hotel? Like just being away from home and just like, kind of living like you're on the road technically.
Yeah, I mean, at first, being an 18-year-old away from home, there were two sides of it. There was like a devil on the shoulder, angel on the shoulder. The angel was like, hey, like, I miss home, I miss my mom, I miss my dad, my sister, I miss my family. But then this shoulder was like, I'm finally free, like I can do what I want. I'm away from home, like like no mom telling me to do this, no dad telling me to do that. Like I'm alone. But I feel like after a while the two sides kind of combined. It's like I enjoy the freedom of growing up and being able to be on my own whenever I please, but I also miss the feeling of always having my family in my corner, just being there, walk upstairs, walk downstairs, see them, be around them. So it was definitely, I wouldn't say easier at first or harder at first, but it was definitely different at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just put myself into the shoes at your age, and it's like, you're a freshman in college, like being in a dorm. It's probably kind of the same, where you're just like, I'm kind of happy, like you said, I'm happy to have some freedom here, but also it's like I've never done this before, so it's like it's new to you, new to in freshman in college. So it's I understand it completely. But my final one for you before we let you go, and you've kind of like dropped some things that go along with this along the way here throughout this episode. But if you had to say somebody's not familiar with you, and how would you describe Nazzan Zanetello as a baseball player that's like to a Red Sox fan that's not very familiar with you?
Yeah, very toolsy, serious. I wouldn't say I'm like in the locker room. I'm not the rah-rah guy. I'm not the guy doing this before the game. Like I'm kind of a focused player, but I'm very toolsy, very athletic, very energetic, very dynamic. I feel like whenever you need that big play, I'm there. Whenever you need the routine play, I'm there. So definitely somebody that you want to have on your team, on your side. You don't want to play against me.
I mean, I feel like that was a good way to kind of end it here. And Nazzan, we appreciate the time. 30 minutes of your time. Obviously, you've been busy down in Fort Myers, so we appreciate you hopping on, and we definitely hope we can chat with you again, maybe next off season once you have your first full year under your belt. But we appreciate it.
For sure, Andrew. Thank you guys. Thank you too, Chris.
I appreciate it.